Shalom Aleichem, my friends. Shavua Tov. Today is Sunday, first day of the week. It's also the day of Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach, which was supposed to be 1 month exactly after our Pesach. Our Pesach is on the night of the 14th of Nisan. So the night of the 14th of Iyar, which means the month that follows, was last night, and today is Pesach Sheni. Some people have the custom to eat matzot today in remembrance of the second Pesach, which was given for those who could not participate in the Paschal Lamb on the 14th of Nisan because they were impure, they were contaminated by the dead, especially those who carried the casket of Yosef HaTzadik, and therefore since they were occupied with the mitzvah, so it didn't look fair to them that they should be exempt from the great mitzvah of the Paschal Lamb. So God told Moses to tell them that they are given a month exactly later, when they are rid of their contamination, they'll be able to celebrate a kind of Pesach by also eating and participating in the Paschal Lamb 1 month after the regular Pesach. Today, incidentally, is also the Yortzeit of Rabbi Meir, the great sage of the Mishna, which is the Hilula of Rabbi Meir. A great day, by the way, and many people believe very much in the saintliness of Rabbi Meir. Of course, the Talmud tells us so much about him. And some people say that perhaps it's not the day in which he died, it's not his Yortzeit. The only reason why we celebrate in the land of Israel the Hilula of Rabbi Meir on Pesach Sheni, because it's very close to the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in about 4 days. And since the people who came to celebrate the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, they came all the way to Meron, that is near Tzfat, and they had to, of course, to station in between in the city of Tiberiad, where the burial place is of Rabbi Meir. So this way, Tveria would benefit from the people who come anyway through Tiberiad on their way going to Meron. And some say that this is the reason why today is the Hilula of Rabbi Meir, not because it is the day when he passed away. Some others contradict this version. In any case, Rabbi Meir is Rabbi Meir. There is no greater than him. Okay, let's begin with, today we are going to begin with the chapter 4 of Pirkei Avot. Mishna number 1. It begins with the teachings, with some of the teachings of Ben Zoma, a very exceptional man, a great sage in the time of the sages of the Mishna. He was extraordinarily known by his great wisdom. So wise he was that the Talmud says in Masechet Berachot that if anyone sees Ben Zoma in the dream, haro'eh Ben Zoma b'chalom yetzapeh lachochma. You could believe that if you dream Ben Zoma in your dream, it means that you will become a sage. You will become also wise. That's enough to say about the great wisdom of Ben Zoma. What is also special about him, that he was a man who was very close to the hidden Torah, to the Kabbalah. And therefore he is one of the 4 people, according to the Talmud in Masechet Hagigah, on page 15 or 14, 15. And there we find the story of 4 great people who apparently went up to the Pardes, which means according to the commentators, they went to study the Torah in 4 ways. The Pshat, making up the abbreviation of Pardes, which means a garden. But the abbreviation is Pe Resh Dalet Samach. Pe is Pshat, the regular way of understanding the Torah, the simple way. And then you have Resh, which is Remez, the hints of the Torah. Then you have Dalet, for the Drash, the commentaries of the Torah. The speeches that give all kinds of thoughts and concepts developed from the Torah. And finally, Samach, which tells us about Sod, that's the hidden Torah, the Kabbalah. So the Talmud, when he brings this story, he says that they went up to heaven. But it means rather that they were extremely deep and they wanted to explore the deep side of the Torah in 4 ways. What happened, that this adventure cost some of them dearly. For example, one of them was Elisha ben Avuya, the disciple of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hanania, extremely famous for the fact that he became an atheist. He became practically an enemy of Israel. There's many stories about him. When he finally was about to die, then his disciple was Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir said that he thinks that his Rebbe, that's Elisha, he was known as Elisha Aher, the other Elisha. But before he became an atheist, he was known as Elisha, the son of Avuya. So Rabbi Meir says that he thinks that his Rebbe nevertheless repented before he passed away. So apparently the exchange with the Kabbalah, with the mystical way of to understand the Torah and the hidden part of the Torah, cost him his belief. Yeah. The second one was Ben Zoma, our sage whom we are going to study today. And Ben Zoma also was a very great Chacham, even though we don't call him Rabbi Ben Zoma, because some say that he was so great in wisdom that he didn't have the time to go and be ordained. So therefore he was not called Rabbi, but nevertheless he was known as the exceptional sage of the generation. So he went up also with the 4 people, him and 3 others. We said Elisha, then Ben Zoma. And unfortunately the end of Ben Zoma, it was tragic because he lost his mind, apparently also from the fact that he went too deep into the hidden Torah, and that cost him his mind. The third one was Ben Azai. He was also a friend, a friend in studies with Ben Zoma, but Ben Azai was known the exceptional Talmudic scholar of the generation. I know one statement in Masechet Bechorot where it says about him, Kol Chachmei Israel ki klipat hashum lefanai, that he himself said, all the sages of Israel are almost like a shell of garlic before me, which means they are nothing considered compared to his great knowledge, except the bold one whom he referred to Rabbi Akiva himself. So Ben Azai, apparently the fact that he went also too deep, maybe in a realm that was not yet his. Now, this is not because of lack of knowledge, it's not lack of personality, but it's possible that our sages say in the Talmud in Masechet Evamot, page 63, that he did not marry. Now, not to be married and to venture into the world of Kabbalah is not advisable. No matter how great you are in wisdom and knowledge, it's possibly that it was the mistake of Ben Azai himself, even though he was teaching many students of Torah, and they told him, why didn't you, how is it possible? Since you teach us that anyone who does not marry, it's like if he כאילו שופך דמים, it's like if he is spilling blood, because you are wasting yourself in the world. So they told him, but you yourself did not get married. He said, what can I do? ומה אעשה שנפשי חשקה בתורה. My soul desires only one thing, the Torah. To get married you have to desire a woman, but he could not desire anything else but the Torah. That's one explanation that we say about Ben Azai. What happened to him? He passed away. He died. And our sages say that it's because he went also to that adventure, to the Kabbalah, to the hidden Torah, and since he was not maybe equipped enough for it, it cost him his life. Finally, the last one was Rabbi Akiva himself, and he was the only one. שנכנס בשלום ויצא בשלום. He was the only one who went in the world of the deep side of the Torah, which means the hidden Torah, in total safety, and he came out unscathed, which means safe and sound. That's Rabbi Akiva, the great man of all the generations. Right? So now let's begin with Ben Zoma. Ben Zoma Omer. It figures that the first teaching that he used to say was Ezeu Chacham. Who can be called a wise man? So we said before that if you dream of Ben Zoma, you could think that the interpretation of your dream, it means that you will become a sage, you will become wise. And it's possible that it's because his teaching begins with Ezeu Chacham, who is the one who is known to be a sage, who can be called a sage or a wise man. Halomed mikol adam, a person who learns everything from any kind of people. From the big people, from the small people, he always finds something to learn. From someone who has nothing, he can learn. From someone who has everything, he of course can learn. He can learn from the rich, he can learn from the poor. He can learn from the old, he can learn from the young. That's a person who can become very wise, because everyone has his own personal experience. Experience means wisdom, right? And Ben Zoma says, you want to be a wise man, and you will be called a wise man if you learn from everyone. And he has a source. The source comes from the book of Psalms in number 119, and the verse is Mikol melamedai hiskalti. King David said in the book of Psalms, I have acquired knowledge from everyone. I found everyone to be able to teach me something. From all my teachers, I grew wise. That's the proper meaning, but I added something here. Ben Zoma also says, Ezeu Gibor, who is the true strong man? It's not a person who boxes, who is a champion in boxing. It's not a person who is great in power, or Hercules, or Samson, not even Shimshon. The real strong man is Hakovesh et Yitzro, the one who conquers his own evil inclination. That's the strong person. Are you able to conquer yourself? Then you can be called strong. Our sages tell us in the Talmud about Shimon HaTzadik, when he met Alexander the Great, when he came to the entrance of Jerusalem, thinking in the beginning to conquer it, but then Shimon HaTzadik, the just, came with all the priests to welcome Alexander. So Alexander was extremely emotional, and when he saw Shimon HaTzadik, he came down from his horse, and he practically bowed before Shimon the just. When his generals asked him, how did you do that? He says, because this man I have seen in my dreams, and because of him I have won every war that I have led. And there is much more into the story, but we are learning about the statements of Ben Zoma. And the second saying of Ben Zoma is, Ezeu Gibor, who is the real strong man? Because Shimon HaTzadik said to Alexander, well, Alexander, you're the great, right? But are you sure you conquered everything? So Alexander said, of course, the whole world is mine. So Shimon HaTzadik said to him, no, you still did not conquer yourself. When you conquer yourself, then you could say conquered everything. So therefore, Ezeu Gibor hakovesh et yitzro. You curb your desires, you curb your anger, you are patient. That's called to be strong, and you conquer your evil inclination. He also has a source, and the source comes from the book of Proverbs, Mishna, chapter 16, where it says, Tov erech apayim migibor, he who is slow to anger is better than the strong man, umoshel berucho miloched ir. And anyone who is a master of his passions, right? He is even greater than a person who conquers a whole city, right? That's a pasuk that King Solomon said in the book of Proverbs. The third statement by Ben Zoma, Ezehu Ashir. Who can we call a rich man? Does that mean that, if you have, let's say, $1 billion, you're very rich, right? But can we call you rich? How much can we call you? How rich can you be? In a few years you will die and you will leave everything behind. That's not riches. In the eyes of our sages, riches is Ezeu Ashir, Hasameach Bechelko. If you are happy with your lot, whatever it is, even if you are poor, but you are happy, that means you're rich. How true this is. Shene'emar, as it says in the book of Psalms, again, in chapter 128, Yegia kapecha ki tochel, ashrecha vetov lach. If when you eat the product of your labor, or the product of your hands, and you do it with happiness, you're happy. You are eating it, because when someone is sad, he cannot even eat. But this one eats, that means he's happy. Then ashrecha vetov lach. How happy you are, praiseworthy, and all is well with you. As our sages adds, ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Why do you have to tell me how happy you are and how good it is for you? It seems redundant. But he explains, ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. You are happy in this world, of course, because you are always happy. Vetov lach. It's good for you because the real good is reserved for you in the world to come. That's called a rich man. Now finally he says, Ben Zoma says, Ezehu mechubad, who is the one that is honored, or that deserves to be honored? Who is honored? You might think a person who's rich. No, maybe a person who has the greater knowledge. Yeah, it's logical, but that's not enough. It's possible that you are giving honor and respect to your parents. That's already an obligation. Nobody disputes that. But are you called a mechubad? You are yourself a man to be honored. There is only one kind. Ezehu mechubad hamchabed et habiriot. You respect everyone. Everyone. No difference. You honor everyone. Then you are an honored man. And he also has a source, and the source comes from the book of Samuel, in the first part, the second chapter, and it says there, Ki mechabedai achabed, uvozai yekalu. For those who honor me, I will honor, and those who scorn me shall be degraded. That doesn't mean that he degrades them because they scorn him. He respects everyone. But you choose to degrade him, you will end up to be degraded, not from him, but from others. So again, a person who respects everyone, who is nice to everyone, who is patient with everyone, who doesn't get angry easily by anyone. That's a person, our sages said, the Spirit of God is happy with him, the one who is also, whose spirit, even people are happy with you, God is happy with you. Now the Mishnah, second Mishnah. The second Mishnah comes from the friend of Ben Zoma. We're talking about the fourth, maybe the third or the second generation of the sages of the Mishnah, okay? Ben Azai, that's Ben Azai. I spoke about Ben Azai before, right? He also was so great in Torah. It's unbelievable how great he was. There is a statement in the Talmud in Masechet Kiddushin that I will say, I didn't say that before. Omer le'isha, when you are about to get married, you have to tell your wife that she becomes your wife, right? You give her the ring and you say, Hare'at mekudeshet li kedat Moshe ve'Yisrael. Very good. But some people in the old time, they used to say, become my wife on condition that I am that or that I am rich. If she is happy with that, then she'll become your wife. That means the wedding is done. Today we don't do that. You have to give the ring and that's it. Or a coin, according to certain traditions. But now what happens if you tell her, you like her and everything, you want her to become your wife. And you say to her, become my wife on condition that I am a Talmid Chacham, I am a Torah sage. Well, the Talmud says she is automatically your wife. That means the wedding is kosher. And what happens if he becomes, let's say, after he got married with her, the next day you find out that he is a bad man, that he is a Rasha, he is not a Torah disciple, he is not a Talmid Chacham. You mean to tell me that maybe we can undo the wedding? No, the wedding is still valid. Why? The Talmud says because maybe at the time when you told her that I want you to become my wife on account of the fact that I am a Talmid Chacham, maybe. Or if he told, the Talmud also says, what about if he tells her, become my wife because I am a tzaddik, I am a righteous man. And she believes him and she becomes his wife. The next day she finds out he is a wicked man. That means, should we undo the wedding? No. Even the Talmid Chacham, she becomes his wife even though he is not, because maybe he knows something. The Talmud says maybe he knows a small tractate, Masechet Derech Eretz or Masechet Kala or something of the kind, then automatically the wedding is fine. But when it comes to a person who says to a woman, become my wife because I am a tzaddik, I am a righteous man, she also becomes his wife, even though the next day she finds out that he is not righteous. Why is it possible? How can we explain that? The answer is, the Talmud says, maybe at the time when he told her, become my wife because I am a tzaddik, maybe he was thinking to repent. And at that moment he was considered a tzaddik, and therefore she becomes his wife. Now, Ben Azai says, Averatz lemitzvah kalla, uboreach min ha'avera. Be ready to always run, to perform even a light mitzvah, a light commandment, a small commandment. Be eager always to run. The meaning of running. Running in Hebrew means larutz. And larutz comes from the word ratzon, the desire, which means when you are about to do a mitzvah, well, bring out your desire for it. Do it with enthusiasm and with pleasure. Even if it is a small mitzvah, it's still a mitzvah. We don't know the meaning of a mitzvah, So even though we have so many mitzvot, we have 613 mitzvot of the Torah, some of them seem to be very heavy, some of them seem to be very light. So be careful. You have to run towards every one of them and do it with eagerness and enthusiasm. And that's called heveratz lemitzvah kala. At the same time, uboreach min avera. You have to run away from the sin, as you have to run after performing a good deed. You have to run away from a sin. Sin is dangerous, right? Why is it so? Shemitzvah goreret mitzvah. The reason why it's important to run after a mitzvah, because one mitzvah makes you make another mitzvah. We can explain that in different ways, but we'll say only one example. It happens, I saw many times, that a person who was finally convinced to perform a mitzvah, he was encouraged to do another. That's one explanation. But spiritually talking, the power of the mitzvah, it gives you an energy and a will and a desire to do another mitzvah, to do another good deed. So therefore it's important to run for a mitzvah. It's an opportunity that you should not miss. Like our sages say, mitzvah haba'a liyadcha al tahmitzenna. A mitzvah that comes your way, hold it. Don't miss it. Don't let it become sour. Let's put it this way, according to the word tahmitzenna. Right? Va'avera goreret avera. The problem is that sin, be very careful from the sin. Why? Because the sin also has the same power to make you commit another sin. You know, our sages say that when you commit a sin the first time and the second time, you become used to it, and then it becomes like if it is okay, if it is kosher. And then you fall in the trap. You might never be able to come out from it. But if you commit only the first time, it's possible always to repent. But the best is run away from any situation that will make you commit a sin. Why? Because one sin can make you make another. It is true. In the same vein that we explained before. Sheschar mitzvah, mitzvah. Uschar avera, avera. The reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah. And the reward, which means the payment for a sin, is another sin. Now we have to explain that a little. Sechar mitzvah, mitzvah. When you perform one good deed, it makes you make another deed, which is good. But what about the reward? How come so he says that the reward of one good deed is to do another deed. But where is the reward then? The point is that normally we have no reward in this world. Like our sages said, schar behai alma leka. Why? Why there is no reward? I mean, there is plenty of reward. But according to the Ramban, this is only an encouragement. Let's say God makes you rich, He encourages you to give a charity. Right? Or He gives you good health. He wants to encourage you to do more mitzvot because you're healthy. And so forth. Right? So, but that's not the reward. The ultimate reward is in heaven, because the whole world here in this world does not have enough for which to pay even for one single good deed. Only in heaven, the spiritual world can ultimately give you the proper reward that you deserve. Uschar avera avera. That's why in this world, the reward for a mitzvah, expect only the gain that you have is that you are going to do another mitzvah, which is psychologically true. But schar avera avera, same thing with the sin. When you commit a sin, you know what is the reward that you get from that? I mean, you get no reward except the enjoyment. Let's say you enjoy 1 minute, 10 minutes, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. But then it fades, and many times a sin ends up with a feeling of remorse and so forth. But the problem is that now you are darker than before. And what happens to you makes you do another sin. So that's the reward of a sin is another sin. They call it reward as a payment. The gain, what you gain from a sin is nothing. It's just the capability to do another sin. All right? And that's what Ben Azai says here. But he has the Mishnah number 3 is also a continuation of Ben Azai, and Hu Haya Omer. He used to say, Al tehi baz lechol adam. Don't be scornful, don't belittle anyone. Kol adam means anyone, big or small, never belittle anybody. Ve'al tehi maflig lechol davar. And please, do not be disdainful of anything, no matter what it is. Even a stone, give it consideration, because even a stone is a creation of God. There is a reason why a stone was created. Maybe it will help you to sit on it. Of course, I'm giving you an example that is almost ridiculous, but there are so many examples. Do not ridicule, do not belittle, do not disdain anything, because everything in this world is important. It was created by God for a purpose. There is plan and purpose for everything, and therefore it requires from you consideration to the least that I can say. שאין לך אדם שאין לו שעה, ואין לך דבר שאין לו מקום. You want to know why? Because first you have to respect everyone, never belittle anybody. Because remember, let's say a guy is still small, so you allow yourself to belittle him. What happens if this guy will grow and becomes your boss? What will you do? אין לך אדם שאין לו שעה. There is no one in this world that doesn't have his hour. Maybe it will become, maybe he will be successful, and that you will be less successful than him. That will eat you up. So it's better to honor everyone. Everyone honor him, even when he is small, even when he is poor. He might become rich, and you will need his help, who knows? And at the same time, אין לך דבר שאין לו מקום. And there is nothing that doesn't have a place, doesn't have its place. We said before, he said that Ben Azai says there is nothing in this world that is vain or for nothing. Therefore it deserves consideration, right? Why? Because there is nothing in this world that doesn't have a place, which means there is a reason why that thing was created in that place, and give it the proper importance, because it's not for nothing. There is nothing in this world that is vain or for no benefit. There is a purpose for everything, and therefore it requires respect and consideration. And we stop right here today, and we wish you a good day, and also may the soul of Rabbi Meir Ba'al HaNes be a source of blessing to all of us. God bless you, my friends.